Here this morning to the Poughkeepsie Grand, our new host for our breakfast. Thank you, Poughkeepsie Grand. It's an exciting time for the March of Dimes. We are this year on the forefront of some really interesting research that is going to be saving a lot of babies from premature birth in the future, and you'll hear about that in a video that we have. I want to thank Lynn Versace, our community director, who's done a great job with this walk for the last 4 years. I can't believe how time flies. We have some wonderful families with us today. We have Toll Brothers, which is a huge supporter. And with that, I'd like to introduce Dan Zielinski. He is our March for Babies chair. Woo! And division president of Toll Brothers, New York Division. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dan Zielinski. I'm a division president for Toll Brothers, and I do welcome you all here for the 2014 March for Babies Kickoff Breakfast. Just sitting down with my group, thinking how many years I've been doing this, and I'm losing track. It's either 7 or 8 years as revenue chairman for the Dutchess and Ulster County March of Dimes. And thank you. I don't know, maybe this is me personally, and I love the showing out that we have out here this morning. This is probably one of our largest kickoff breakfasts as far as attendance is concerned. But I get a sense this year that I don't feel the same energy and vibe that I felt in years past. And I'm trying to rationalize why that may be, if it truly is. And quite honestly, I get back to, and I'm going to blame it on the weather. I really do. And when I think of the March of Dimes, I think of a time of year, springtime, the warmer weather. I think of that the walk. I think of everything that comes along with spring. And let's face it still feels like January. They're talking about snow, I guess, next week already again.
No.
So no, right?
No.
So, all of us here this morning, this is the start. If you have not committed yourself with your fundraising efforts, this is the time right now. Roll up your sleeves, let's figure it out, and let's get it going. All right? This is the whole reason for the kickoff breakfast. Personally, I'll give you my story, which is pale in comparison to others. But well, first let me step back. March of Dimes, I think one of the greatest charitable organizations that is out there. It's very, very well run. And I think the charity in itself, like so many great causes there are out there, but the March of Dimes, the way I look at it is if you're standing here today as a healthy, productive member of society, we all have the March of Dimes to thank. Whether you spend time in the NIC unit, whether or not you were born with health issues, the fact that you're here today, we all have the March of Dimes to thank. There is no discrimination with the March of Dimes. It is a great, great, great organization, and it's a great charity. I have 4 boys of my own. They're ages 14 and 12 and 2 7-year-olds. And my 2 oldest spent some time in a NIC unit. That was an unbelievable experience. No major health issues. It was all mild. My 2 7-year-olds were, by definition, they were premature at birth, but had no health issues. My wife and I were very, very fortunate. And I look at them today, these 4 boys, and I think, wow, what a pain in the ass you guys all are. But I do love them. Absolutely wouldn't trade anything in the world for them. So, with that, I want to thank the top fundraising teams that we have here today, and especially Dutchess County government. You guys raise over $10,000 every year for this cause, and that's truly amazing and very, very much appreciated. We also have an incredible support of many local businesses as well as national businesses, and I want to give thanks to them this morning. Our national sponsors include Kmart, Farmers Insurance, Macy's, Cigna, Sinapu Pasteur, Famous Footwear, Watson Pharmaceuticals, Mission Pharmaceuticals, and United. Local sponsors, HealthQuest, yours truly, Toll Brothers, Apple Valley Advisors, Mass Mutual, Maria Ferrari Children's Hospital, Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union, Splashdown, Kohl's, One Main Financial, Adams, Fairacre Farms, Lawrence Family Farms, Citibank, and Chase. So let's give a round of applause for everything that those organizations and companies do. The March of Dimes mission is an urgent one. Premature birth is common, it's serious, and it's very costly. Approximately $50,000 per child that is experienced premature birth, and $4,000 for a healthy baby. Besides just the medical care, even babies that are born too soon, there's medical follow-up that's involved. There is preventive education that's involved, not to mention the cost implications on those families, moms and dads, taking time off from work to help with their children or child. So with that, I want to welcome our ambassador family for this year's 2014 March for Dimes effort. And it is the Schiller family, Katie Schiller. If you can come up, please. Is Katie here?
Yep.
Oh, right in front of me. Hi, Katie. Sorry. And as years pass, this is probably one of the best moments of this kickoff breakfast. And if you aren't energized after hearing Katie's story, then maybe there should be another organization or a charitable event that you guys should be supporting. But Katie, thank you.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. My name is Katie Schiller, and our family's journey with the March of Dimes began in 2011 after the birth of our first daughter was born at 28 weeks gestation. My husband Brandon and I live in Saugerties. I'm a dental hygienist, and Brandon works for the Ulster County Sheriff's Office. We live in Saugerties, and we met in 2002 at Ulster County Community College. We got married in 2009, and in 2010 we found out we were expecting our first child. I had a very unexciting pregnancy. Every checkup was always great, no concerns ever until Sunday, February 27, 2011. I had been running last minute errands. We were getting ready to go to Florida, and I started to feel not so great. I thought I had just overdone it, and I started to get a backache and a little cramping, so I decided that I should probably just lay down for a little while. When I got up to make dinner, I felt a little better for a short time, and the symptoms I had that day were back and twice as strong as before. I started to get concerned, so I called my OB's office and got the answering service. They said that they would reach my OB and give me a call back. But after about 10 minutes, which seemed like 10 hours at the time, I decided we better go to the hospital just to get checked out. Better to be safe than sorry. My husband was driving, and I remember glancing over at the speedometer as he was speeding, taking me over the bridge to Northern Dutchess. When we got into the parking lot, I could barely stand up. I was in so much pain, I felt like I had a knife in my back and that my organs were going to explode. I still didn't think I was in labor because my due date wasn't until May 21st. I was only 28 weeks pregnant, and what to expect when you're expecting made no mention of symptoms like that. As we went into the emergency room, I remember telling them that I was pregnant and that I was in a lot of pain. Maybe my gallbladder or appendix needed to come out. They told me I needed to go to the birthing center, but the thought of taking one more step at that point was unbearable, and I started to lose my patience. That's when they promptly put me in a room, and the ER doctor did an exam and said that I was actually in preterm labor. With that, I was whisked away into the birthing center, and as we were rounding the corner, I saw my OB, and she jumped up and took one look at me, and that's when I knew I was actually in preterm labor. When they put me in the delivery room, when she checked me, my daughter Olivia's legs were coming out of me, and that's when they decided that I needed an emergency C-section to help get her back to help deliver her safely so her life wouldn't be in danger. At this point, I was just in shock. How did my uneventful normal pregnancy turn into this? I was prepped and headed for the surgical suite where I was told that the emergency C-section was going to be taking place in a matter of minutes. The whole staff at Northern Dutchess was truly amazing. We were reassured that the baby would be here in a matter of minutes. At 7:41 p.m., our beautiful baby girl was born, weighing in at 2 pounds, 3 ounces, and 13 inches long. Olivia Grace Schiller arrived 11 weeks early. Brandon and I were so in shock that our normal Sunday evening had turned into our daughter's birthday, and that we were laughing and crying at the same time. We were so worried about our little miracle because she was so tiny and fragile. We had never experienced a premature baby before in our life. We didn't hear a loud cry like we were expecting. All we heard was a soft whimper, and then she was put on a warming table. With so many people around her, we could barely see her. After I was put back together and wheeled back into the recovery room, it all hit me. I was a new mommy to a premature baby. About 20 minutes into the recovery, they brought Olivia into my room in a mobile isolette and informed me that they were taking her to Baxter Brothers Medical Center. It broke my heart to see my baby girl in a little heated nest, not being held and kissed like a term baby, but I knew she would be in great hands. I told Brandon to go to Baxter to be with Olivia and to keep me posted. At that time, a few of my friends and family had shown up at the hospital, so I knew I would be taken care of. I just wanted to make sure that Olivia knew that we were with her. I remember Brandon calling me to tell me all about the NICU. He said there were so many tiny babies all in a big room, kind of set up in like a corral situation. There were all different families there, and the medical staff was quite something. There were neonatologists, NICU nurses, respiratory therapists, and support staff. After 3 days of being separated from Olivia, I was finally released from the birthing center at Northern Dutchess. And again, with Brandon driving me to Baxter, we made record time. I could not wait to see and possibly hold my baby for the first time. I remember being wheeled into the NICU where there were people coming and going, and the sounds of machines were dinging and banging all over the place. It was quite overwhelming. When I flapped up the beautiful quilt that was covering Olivia's isolette, I saw her tiny body laying there, and I just burst into tears. She was so tiny and so perfect. When the nurse asked me if I was ready to hold her, I remember feeling a little nervous and intimidated. Olivia had all kinds of wires and tubes coming off of her fragile body, and I didn't want to hurt her. They reassured me that in a matter of minutes, they reassured me that it was going to be okay, and then in a matter of minutes, I was holding my beautiful girl for the first time. As the days passed, we started learning about different terminology and what all the terms meant. Bilirubin, TPN, blood gases, DSATs, to name a few. Needless to say, it was a lot of information and we were a bit overwhelmed. We were so terrified and excited every time we walked into the NICU because it was the only time that we got to see Olivia. But after a few weeks, we started to get the hang of it. My favorite times in the NICU were kangaroo care times, which is skin-to-skin contact. And it has been said to have many beneficial effects for both mother and baby. Another one of my favorite days was when a volunteer from the March of Dimes showed up to take pictures of some of the babies. We were asked if it would be okay to take some pictures, which we were happy about because it was somewhat difficult to get a picture of all three of us, since we didn't ever really want to bother any of the NICU nurses because they were always so busy, but they were always happy to do so. Things took an unexpected turn for Olivia on day of life 26. Our baby, who was thriving, appeared sick. The neonatologist told us that it looked like she had an infection in her stomach. That day, when we visited her, she looked fine, and all I could remember is how she started to look so cute because she was finally gaining weight and growing. How could she have gotten sick in such a short amount of time? We waited to hear back from the NICU as they said they were running tests and going to take an x-ray of her stomach. We were on the phone throughout the night, and the nurse practitioner who was keeping us updated finally said we should probably come in. We decided to go right away, and it was about 5 a.m. when we arrived to find our beautiful girl in pain and not looking so good. The neonatologist made the call that Olivia had developed a disease called necrotizing enterocolitis. Not knowing what it was, we quickly looked up the disease and found out that it was a very serious condition that affects premature babies. The Vassar NICU decided that it was more than they could handle, and they called the helicopter to fly Olivia to Albany Medical Center. Brandon and I were heartbroken. How could this be happening? She had made it this far. She was such a fighter, and she was going to beat this thing. When the helicopter arrived, we left to try to get to Albany as fast as possible. When we got to Albany at around 9:30, Olivia hadn't arrived yet, which made me nervous. The volunteers at the Ronald McDonald Room were very sweet, asking if they could arrange a room for us at the Ronald McDonald House, which was less than a mile from the hospital, which we qualified to stay in because we lived more than 50 miles away. I could hardly focus on what they were saying to me because I had just pictured my very sick baby alone in a helicopter. About 10 minutes later, we saw her coming off the elevator with a new NICU team ready to take over. When they got her into her new bed, we were allowed to see her. She didn't look like my baby that I was holding just the day before. There were so many people coming and going, surgeons asking us questions, that they said she didn't need surgery, and then they came back and that she would need surgery, but she was too unstable to have the surgery. At that point, Brandon and I knew that the situation had taken a turn for the worst. We were pulled aside, given all the scenarios. Her baby was in critical condition, and we needed to make some decisions. We decided that we did not want our daughter to live a life of pain and suffering. And when the time came, we decided to take our precious daughter off of life support. Shortly after that, moment of taking our beautiful daughter off of life support, she passed away in our arms. I didn't realize how much our daughter's life, although short, touched so many lives. As we looked around the crowded NICU unit that day, we saw all of our NICU staff surrounding us, and you could just tell that they were as touched as we were. While in those last moments, we were asked if a photographer could take pictures for us. And at first I thought it was a bit odd, but now having those pictures of our last moments with our daughter means everything. We later found out that that photographer was a volunteer with the March of Dimes, and she was also a NICU nurse. After being home for a few days, I said to Brandon, I'm never going to have another baby, and I meant it. Please don't ask me to do this again. We needed time to grieve and come to terms with what had happened to us. I remember Melissa Domry from Vassar Brothers NICU saying that she was getting ready to do some fundraising for the March of Dimes and how much fun it was. I decided that was just the thing to do for me. I needed something to take the focus off of the hurt and raise money for other families that were still fighting in the NICU each day. In May of 2011, we created Team Olivia Grace in Olivia's memory, and that was the year that we started our first walk. In September of 2011, we found out we were expecting again, and this time it was twins. This time we were very anxious and excited again at the same time. We were never told why I went into premature labor with Olivia. So I switched to an OB up in Albany, and they had maternal fetal medicine doctors right in their practice. So it was much easier for me to be seen by specialists. And at about 20 weeks of pregnancy, they did an ultrasound, and they found out that I was diagnosed with incontinent cervix. I immediately asked, could that have caused my premature labor with Olivia? And they said absolutely. From that moment on, I was put on bed rest, and I was given weekly 17-hydroxyprogesterone injections to help prevent the onset of premature labor. They said because I was carrying twins, it was a game changer because there wasn't enough research done on twin pregnancies and incontinent cervix. My original due date for the twins was May 21st, but on February 15th, 2012, they decided they wanted to be born at 26 weeks gestation. Thankfully, my doctors were one step ahead this time, and they had already admitted me to the hospital on February 11th, due to the fact that I was having contractions that I was unaware I was having. Eli James was born at 4:18 p.m., weighing 2 pounds, 0.5 ounces, and Hannah Margaret was born at 4:20 p.m., weighing 1 pound, 13 ounces, and 13 inches long. Eli and Hannah were born at Albany Med, which is an hour from our house. And again, the Ronald McDonald House offered us a room so we could be close to the babies, and we took them up on their offer to stay. In that time, we were offered a private apartment from friends of ours at the Bruderhof community. So we decided to move there and give our room to another family in need at the Ronald McDonald House. It was very reassuring being so close to the NICU, just a mile away this time, instead of driving 45 minutes each way to get there. The babies were going through a bit of a rough patch in their first week. Eli had a blood clot in his lung and also a mild brain bleed. Hannah had a patent ductus arteriosus, which needed closure. When the surgeon came in, he went over all the risks, and we decided that the risks outweighed deciding not to do the surgery. She came through with flying colors. Both babies underwent blood transfusions, and the list goes on and on. After 5 weeks of life, Hannah appeared to be getting sick one night, so I called Brandon and told him he better come up to Albany to be with us. When he arrived, we were told that her condition was getting worse and that they had contacted a surgeon for a consultation. When I looked at her, I couldn't help but see Olivia. Hannah looked the same. She went from being a pink, vibrant baby to that gray appearance that I will forever remember in my head. We had high hopes for her because this time we were at the highest level NICU around, with surgeons right here in the building. When the surgeon evaluated Hannah, they had said that she wasn't sick enough to do the surgery yet, and that they wanted to just monitor her throughout the night and see how she was going to do. They told us to get some sleep and they would call us if we needed to come back to the hospital. About 2 hours later, when one of our nurses called and said they were experiencing some problems with Hannah, we got there within 5 minutes and said that the surgeon was on her way and that she needed the surgery. The nurse that had been caring for Hannah that night was able to stand in the operating room, which meant the world to us. Just knowing that she was a familiar person who cared about her was comforting to us. When she got out of surgery, we were told that it was indeed necrotizing enterocolitis that the baby had. So we were just so nervous of what that meant for her. About 4 hours after Hannah got out of surgery, she began too weak to breathe on her own. She was placed on a ventilator, and we were faced with the same decision again. March 22nd, 2012, we said goodbye to our precious Hannah. We were so heartbroken after the passing of Hannah, but God gave us the strength to go back into the NICU every day to be there for Eli. Eli spent a total of 94 days in the NICU, and we welcomed him home on May 18th, 2012. He came home on oxygen, and we were just thrilled to have him home. We didn't care if he was on oxygen or even in an isolate at that point. After 94 days, we were just ready to have our baby home. He started early intervention therapy, including physical therapy and occupational therapy, which he continues to this day. We didn't ever think that he would actually leave the NICU. But when we left the NICU with a baby in our arms, we were so overjoyed. This year, the walk happens to be on May 18th, which is a day we will forever celebrate. This is the day that we brought our miracle baby home. Thank you all so much for your time.
Truly heart-wrenching, and at the same time, obviously extremely inspirational. And it's like that's the game changer. It's time to get it going again. It's just absolutely just mind-numbing what some of these families go through. And like I said earlier, this is not about me at all. I had the experience. To be in that NICU, and it is heart-wrenching. There's no doubt. Thank you very much, Shoulders, for that just unbelievable, inspirational story. With that, I want to welcome someone who a couple years back, as this Dutchess and Ulster County chapter of the March of Dimes was, I have to admit, was maybe at the brink of kind of falling apart, or certainly wasn't reaching its full potential as far as fundraising and as far as awareness. And I don't know where she came from, but she came in like a like a wild whatever you can think of. But Lynn Versace has absolutely energized this group. I would imagine most of you know her by now, and if you do not know her by now, you will certainly know her probably by the end of this morning, if not by the end of the walk on the 18th. She's been an inspiration to me and all of us on the Revenue Committee, and we all here owe her a lot of thanks for her passion to make this happen. Lynn?
Thanks, Dan, and just as luck would have it, I'm wearing animal print, so I guess, yeah, it happens. Either way, I don't know why I tend to wear makeup on days like this, because it never really stays on. I want to thank Katie for her story. I want to thank you all for being here. It really means a lot to me. Most of you I know, some of you I don't know. You know why I'm here. I'm here to move, inspire, motivate. I lost my first son, Vincent, due to prematurity. I didn't get a chance like Katie to see my son breathe or any of that stuff, and I sometimes wish I did. My daughter Gia was born 3 pounds, 3 ounces. She was in NICU for almost 5 weeks. And my son Christian was born in congestive heart failure. So all 3 reasons why we march and why we raise money, I've been affected by. And of course it saddens me to say everything that I went through, and it saddens me to hear stories like Katie's and like Jessica's, you know, my team's past, the Phillips family. It saddens me to hear all of that. I really have to say there's no regrets in life, only lessons. I've learned many lessons from what I've gone through, and from all of you, from my family teams, from my mentors, from my parents, from everybody. I learned a lot of lessons in life. And what I've learned now is to go the extra mile for someone, to help others, to be in that moment when someone's actually engaging you. Put the cell phone down, maybe put the paper down. Be in that moment when someone's actually engaging you. Take that last shot. You know, whatever you're going through in life every day, take that last shot. And as my favorite person, and Wayne Gretzky, hockey great, says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I tend to take all of them because eventually one day you're going to make something. Go ahead, take the shots, help me out, sponsor the walk, be a better person. I have to tell you, success is a journey, not a destination. I want you to take this journey with me to have a successful campaign. And how can we do that? Well, for one, make your own contribution. Make your own commitment to your team. Number 2, ask your friends, your family, to give you $10 a piece. How many people do you know just to ask for $10? Put it on social media. Let it go viral. That's a big word these days, go viral. I don't know, I'm born in the 80s and I'm just learning about going viral and pound signs and I don't know, hashtags, and do that, whatever it takes, right? Send letters to people, you know, the kind you actually write with a pen and you put it in that square thing and it's got that stamp on it and you actually see the mailman. Send letters to people. That's actually much more effective, I find, these days, because people, they can delete email. You know, they get a letter, they're excited to see that letter. Wow, they actually took the time to write down in ink on paper for me. This really must be important to them. Ask local businesses to sponsor your event, whether you're at the dry cleaners getting your suit or your dress dry cleaned, whether you're at the liquor store on Friday night because you had a rough week and you need a bottle of wine. Whatever it is, ask those people. You never know. They may say, hey, yeah, I'll give you $100 to sponsor and put your family team sign up at that walk. Absolutely. You've been coming to my business for all these years, least I can do. You can engage the mailman. You can engage the garbage man. You can sing that song from back in the day, Who Are the People in Your Neighborhood? Remember that song? Maybe I'm too old, I don't know. But either way, on a serious note, think about many years from now. It will never matter what your bank account was. It may matter now. You may have to keep up with the Joneses, but you know what? Why do that? It's not going to matter what kind of house you lived in, what kind of car you drove, whether it was a Honda or a BMW. Is it nice? Yeah, it's nice. Guess what? It still gets you from point A to point B. What's going to matter is that you all made a difference in the life of a child, in the life of many children, in all the lives of future babies to come. That's what's going to matter. That you guys didn't just stand up and go, oh, well, that's nice, I'm so sorry for these babies. What's going to matter is that you said, you know what, no more. Because although my children may have been born healthy, your grandkids may not be born healthy. Your friends' babies may not be born healthy. We all need to take a stand and fight for the future health of babies. If I can make a difference in one person's life today to change their mind to actually do something, then it makes me very happy, and it makes my job a whole lot easier. Just one person. Imagine if all of you stood up and said, hey, you know what, I could raise $1,000. If every person in this room raised $1,000, it sounds like a big number It's really not that big of a number. Spreading the positivity in life and inspiring others to help make change in the future, to help make a difference in the future lives of babies to come, it really means a lot to me. It means a lot to everybody. I'd like to live my life by this motto: be the change you want to see in the world. I'm trying my best, are you? Speaking of change, I actually want to call up two people that actually help me every year to make change every year. So if Anna Mary and Wendy McNamara will please come, I really want to get them a certificate of my appreciation for everything they do. So I'm just going to actually ask Wendy if she could maybe just say a couple of words to say exactly what Toll Brothers does and how she moves and shakes and connects the dots for me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Lynn, and thank you for taking the time to acknowledge Anna Mary, because Anna Mary is the cog in our office that makes it all work. But also she's our team captain for March of Dimes, and she does an enormous amount of work and continues to have an enormous amount of enthusiasm for March of Dimes. That's better. Show of hands, because it's Friday, everyone's tired. How many people have ever seen the Pantene commercial where it says tell a friend or tell another friend, and then the screen keeps on having more and more boxes on the screen? How many people have actually seen that? Or I don't know if you knew it was a Pantene commercial, but it was really good advertising. The thing that we do, and I'm so grateful to be a part of a company like Toll, because our slogan is we don't just build houses, we build communities, and we care very much about the Dutchess County community that we work in. We've got a whole table here today. The March is really a family event. We all bring our families, we enlist our families, they join us. It's actually a wonderful day for us. We love that it's in May, because there's nothing more beautiful than a Sunday walkway event in May. But what we try and do is get the word out. This year we've got Scott from Rhinebeck Bank on our revenue committee, because he's been a great supporter of March of Dimes in the past, but we keep on racking our brains. Who else can we get to help? Who can we talk to about it? Who can we spread the message to? Everybody has someone they know who works for a company, runs a company, is the cog in the wheel, the administrative assistance, brokerage manager of a company. Those are the people you talk to. We've been able to get companies like Rhinebeck Bank, we've been able to get Marshall and Sterling, we've been able to get the Poughkeepsie Journal to come on and sponsor. Lyndon and Ed and I have gone up to Ulster County to meet with Mike Hahn. We've gone to Wappingers to talk with Barbara Gutzler. We figure it out, we go out, we build consensus, and every single one of you must know somebody you can ask if they can join. We host the revenue committee meetings at our office in Toll. We'd love to have more people on it, right, Dan? Anything you can do, it is such a worthwhile cause. And it's kind of ironic we're in the Poughkeepsie grant, because I had my youngest child was a premature child. I was in Bassett Brothers for 5.5 months, weeks. And the bill for my stay, I could have stayed in the penthouse here with an ambulance outside and, you know, catering and everything else for what it costs. The costs are enormous. If you want to look at long-range problems, the cost to the school systems, the cost for the hospital and insurance bills are enormous. Anything we can do to help eradicate it will help. I want to thank my boss, Dan, for all that he does. I want to thank Anna Mary for being an outstanding captain, and all my colleagues at Toll for all the things that they do every day to help with this. But I want to encourage everyone to think of one person in the box that you can add to the box, so that we can continue to spread the message and get more people to come out and support. And I want to thank Lynn and Annette for everything they do to make this happen.
Thank you, Wendy. See, now, if I know this actually came off, I would have pulled a rock star on you and been all over the place. But I guess it's probably a good thing I didn't, because I am wearing very high heels, because I needed to see over the podium. In any event, you guys know why we're here. I appreciate you all coming. Each and every one of you is really, really important to me, and you all play a pivotal role in this event. You may not know it, and a free breakfast is great, and I love it too. Who doesn't love anything free? It always tastes better. Either way, you all play a pivotal role in this event. Please tell 2 friends, and so on, like that commercial says. You know, sing that little song with who are the people in your neighborhood. Do these little things that I'm asking you to do. If you don't have time to go out and meet anybody new, but you know someone that may want to do something, call me, email me, see me on the street, whatever you have to do, I will go and barrel them over like a bulldozer. I mean, you know, whatever I have to do to get these babies healthy, whatever I have to do to spread the word. I'm going to call Dan back up here and we'll wrap it up shortly. But thank you guys all so much for everything. God bless you all. Thank you.
Very nice. Nicely done. Wendy, can you stand up for 1 second, please? As you can all see, she has hurt her wrist. And I don't know the details of the story, but that is from some very aggressive fundraising type of tactics. That's all I know. So after this morning's event, you can ask Wendy some of the details on how she goes about with fundraising. But anyway, again, thank you, Lynn and Wendy and Anna Mary, the whole team, and obviously everyone that's here this morning. And with that, let's get to this morning's March of Dimes video, which again is extremely inspirational. I remember last year, and you know, we have Annette sitting here, which is obviously she's also a very big part of this from the March of Dimes. Last year, we did have some. It looks like, hopefully, we don't have it this year. We never got this video going last year. So, but it looks like Annette is on it. And if not, then it's Anna Mary there to help, or maybe someone else in the room. But anyway, let's get going with the video.
The March of Dimes, leader in medical breakthroughs, is joining forces to put an end to premature birth. Transdisciplinary innovation is underway at Stanford University. 130 researchers, exceptionally diverse backgrounds, combining their power to find the root causes of premature birth, the hardest issue of our day. Breaking new ground, making new science, funded by the March of Dimes to put an end to this crisis. Investing in the premier wellspring of intellect in the heart of Silicon Valley. Extensive, unlimited, transformative research in pursuit of the answer at Stanford University.
There's something for all of us about birth and about the beginning of life that to many of us feels as though it matters so much in terms of determining everything else that happens.
Premature birth is one of those vexing problems that a single line of investigation won't solve.
The Prematurity Research Center at Stanford University is so vital and so important because it's going to be a wellspring of new information.
Creating a transdisciplinary center like this is a brand new way to think about doing science. This is a completely different approach here.
We knew that we needed anthropologists, we knew we needed social scientists, we knew that we needed people who do complex systems and evolutionary biology to help us think this through.
The transdisciplinary approach is the right one because there's not going to be an answer even from just one field. This is such a complex, multifaceted problem
That's what I really think March of Dimes is here to help us.
And this is not a short-term proposition. If it were simple and short-term, someone would have figured it out. And so what they've done is they said, we're going to invest in a place that can assemble all the intellect that's required, any discipline that might seem relevant, and give you the time to figure this out and fix it.
The task is a big one, but the mission is clear and couldn't be more important.
Thanks for taking a few brief minutes to see that video. The longer version's actually a lot better, but I didn't want to, I know you guys have to get to work, and I'm sure you're all happy about that. But these transdisciplinary centers, there's one in California, they're opening up 3 more. That's where a lot of this funding and research goes. You know, if you look up the March of Dimes, they tell you 76 cents on every dollar goes to research. Well, guess what? In New York State, that's 80 cents of every dollar goes to research. So we're really doing a great job as far as keeping the money where it needs to be. I also would like to thank an amazing group, my 2014 March for Babies executive leadership team. And then we're going to work closely in the next few weeks to bring new sponsors, new teams, some of which were represented here this morning. Kevin McGrath, Helen Pidio, Mike Egan, Stephanie Baran, Donna Chiappa, Shannon Bergeron, Christopher Hayes, Heather Casto, Dan Zielinski, Ryan Rye, Bob LaCalla, Wendy McNamara, Scott Krumholtz, Anna Mary, and Marie Natrella. So thank them very much. I also want to thank the Poughkeepsie Grand and Maureen Kangas for getting this wonderful place and putting on such a great breakfast. This year we are aiming high, not that high, but it's $185,000 is our goal. If we surpass that, that would be great. Anybody that wants to do rap events or any other kind of events after the walk, I'm always up for a good party and planning, so please hit me up. And I'd like to just wrap it up with a few words from Dan. Thank you again for coming, and have a blessed day, everyone.
Thanks, Lynn. Very short. Don't let the weather, stop your fundraising efforts. Get out there. Great stories this morning. Great message. I sense it's been a success. I feel a little more focused on what I have to do. And thank you for everyone here on all your efforts, the walk teams, reaching out, all great stuff. Again, let's roll up our sleeves. This gets the season officially started, our fundraising season officially started. Let's hope for some great weather for our walk on the 18th on the walkway over the Hudson. I try to imagine what that walkway would be like in rain and wind, but you know what? Should Mother Nature predict that and give us that, we'll deal with it at the time. But we've been very fortunate over the last couple of years. We'll keep our fingers crossed. This year, listen, it better not be snowing on May 18th. We certainly, that would be a problem. But anyway, thanks everybody. Have a great day, great weekend, and let's look out for some great fundraising efforts. Thank you.
I would like to get some pictures.
We're starting.